Hey everyone, in this video I want to give you a little basic introduction to the form tool. So I'll do a series of videos sort of like going through the form tool specifically. There is a tutorial series that I've done on modeling a shoe, like a trainer, that basically used a lot of the form tool. So I went through some of the basics on there, but I want to have a series just showing you sort of the introduction and how the theory of it works a little bit more. So when you're in your workspace, you've got all your normal modeling tools. This purple box here, create form, if you click on that, you'll find that your window at the top, your bar at the top changes. Okay, so what you want to do, if you've ever used things like Maya or Blender, this is essentially sometimes referred to as like Blender mode. It's quite different to how you would normally do it. So if you go into the normal like modeling mode where you create sketch, revolve, extrude, lofting, those sorts of things, that's known as like hard surface modeling. When you are in the form modeling things, essentially what you're grabbing is either vertices, edges, or faces. And the other difference is down at the bottom, you don't get a design history. So whatever I model next with the form tool, it's only ever going to just have that one form until I make a new form. Whereas if you're doing things like extruding and combining those sort of things, you end up with loads and loads of things all the way across your time history, and you can go back in time. So that means what you can't do is go back in your history later and make alterations. You can undo. So what you can always do is if you're doing something, Control Z, and actually you end up using Control Z quite a lot as you're going through, because it's a little bit like trial and error. So we'll just have a look at what you've got available. So you go to create, you've got box, which is, as it says, just box, plane, just flat surface, cylinder, cylinder, sphere, torus, quad ball, which is slightly different to sphere, and pipe. So those are the main ones that you have. You do have things like extrude, revolve, sweep, and loft, so you can start with a sketch, and I'll go into that in another video. But the best advice you can have really is start with the shape that most closely resembles what you want to do. So, say for example, if you've ever like tried to learn Blender and you've gone on and you're typing like Blender tutorial, what you'll find is Blender Guru and his donut tutorial, and he says, "Going to make a donut, so start with a torus," that sort of thing. But just for argument's sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a box and it's going to say pick a plane to start on. You will also get the same thing. You could do it on a surface as well if you had other modeling in there as well. So for the argument's sake, I'm just going to click on the flat surface, and now I'm just going to click in the middle and drag out. So much in the same way, I can still enter in measurements, hit tab, enter in measurements, and then click. And then what I can do is I can drag how high I want it to be, or put measurements in. So I'll do 70 by 70 by 70. At the minute, what I have got here is I have got, as you can see, length faces, width faces, height faces. So there's 2 by 2 by 2. So it's too long, too deep, too high. Okay. You can change that by just putting it here and doubling it. So I could do for like that. What you will find is the less you have, the more rounded your object will start to look. There is sort of like a point of diminishing returns at which point you want to have too many in. A lot of the time it is pretty much trial and error of what works. We'll do 4x4, 4x4 just to have a little play around. Okay, and you can add in things later on as well. So it's worth pointing out you're not fixed in place, so you can play around with it. Okay, so I've got a cube in place. What I can do, first of all, the main thing you normally would do is you're just going to right click, go to edit form, and you get this little window pops up. Okay, so if you have a look on here, there's different sorts of like you can do. If I click on, basically, I can hover over and I can click on an edge like that. I can click on a face, or if I zoom in, I can click on the vertices, which is in the middle of them both. Now, at the minute, what I've got here is the selector here is multi, so that means that I can pull, I can translate, pull it, rotate it, I can do all of it. I'm going to Control Z to undo those. But you can do specific ones if I only want to translate, if I only want to rotate, and if I only want to scale. So I can do individual ones, but this one does all of them at the same time. Most of the time, I just stick with using the multi one because it means you're not faffed around. But sometimes it can get a bit annoying if, say, you're trying to get behind something and it's just sort of in the way a little bit. You can then play around with which sort of area, which coordinates you're going to look at. And then if you click on here, you can specific. Now at the minute it's on all, which is why I can still click on face, I can still click on edge, and I can still click on vertices. Say if I only wanted vertices, I can then click on that, and then all my vertices will appear, which is really, really helpful. So I can then only click on vertices. Same with edges. It means I can only click on edges. If I hover over something else, it won't let me hover. And then same with faces, it means it will only let me select faces. But again, I tend to just go on all, and then I can sort of click on whichever ones I want. So then what you'll do, so we'll just grab up here, and because I've done that, now what I can do is I can drag up, I can start to mess around with it, move it how I want, so I might want to rotate it, drag it up a little bit. So that is just so I'm going to start to like stretch and bend a particular face and hit OK. And then, as I said before, if you look down at the bottom, I've got no histories appeared, so I can't actually alter that again now. But what I can do is I can go Control Z and undo. Okay. Now, say I want to do that, but what I want to actually do, so I'm going to go to right click, edit form again, and I want to extrude it and sort of extend it out rather than just stretching it all out. So at the minute, I just pulled that up and stretched out and deformed the whole shape. Say I wanted to do like that. So I've essentially made some new faces come out of it. So what you can do is if you click on the arrow with the scale you want to do, hit Alt and drag up while I'm holding it, and it will let me create new surfaces like that. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is just holding down key, dragging and pulling up, and you can alter it like that. Now, I'm going to hit edit form. I don't finish form. I'm not entirely sure this is going to work. Let's hit OK. If I go on finish form, okay, no, it did. So, and then, I mean, I don't know what I've created there, but it's just to show you sort of like introduction. Now, again, down at the bottom, I've not got any of the history, but if I right click there, I can go on edit form and I can go back in and I should still be able to Control Z and undo. So that is pretty much a quick whistle stop tour of the introduction to forms. I will do a series showing you, because if you go on things like modify, there's loads of other extra things that you can do. Particular things that are really useful are things like, where is it? Symmetry, incredibly useful. Inserting, subdividing, welding vertices. So some of these are really, really helpful. But we'll do individual videos on those as well. So that's meant to just be a little quick introduction to form. If you found that useful, please let me know. Any questions, email me at designwithsimon@outlook.com.